Welcome to your lesson on SEO. SEO refers to search engine optimization, which means optimizing the content on your site so that it can be found by search engines and it can move up these rankings. Now, Google's algorithms for deciding whether the content on your site is relevant to what the user is searching for is changing all the time in terms of its specifics. What kind of keyword density they're looking for, what kind of meta tags and other HTML tags they're looking for. But Google's intent is always the same. Google genuinely wants to return quality results that are relevant to what the user is searching for. So Google is going to analyze what's on your page, and it's also going to analyze who is linking to you and how quality those sites are that are linking to you. So with that part, we're not going to go into it too deeply in this module, but your job is to create quality original content and then let as many people as you can know about it. So you can do that through social media. You can do that by providing valuable comments on other people's blogs, enough that it piques their interest to follow the URL that you provide with your comment to go back to your site. What we're going to focus on in this lesson is all of the things that we can do on your site, on your page, to be really clear to the Google bots what your page is about and who it is relevant to. So let's get started with our on-site search engine optimization. For WordPress, there is an amazing plugin that does most of the hard work for you. And it has actually been downloaded over 31 million times at this point. It has a 4-star rating, but SEO is pretty complicated, so I'm sure there's people out there who would have trouble with an SEO plugin regardless of its features. So for this tutorial, we're just going to do the free version, but we're going to download that from within our site. So I'm going to go down here to Plugins, Add New. I'm going to look for Yoast SEO. I'll install that, activate it, and now I can see I have notifications up here, and it's also shown up in my sidebar here. So we are going to literally start from the top with our site title. So this will show up in the tab, and it's also what shows up right here in the Google search results. So let's get started with titles and metas. And that will take me into this area where I can change the template for each of these different page types. So here in general, I can choose the separator being whatever it is between the different parts of the page title. You can see the default is just a dash. I think it looks nicest with a dot in the middle. And pipes and arrows are commonly used as well. These arrows are often used in breadcrumbs. And Google has made the switch recently in the US. I'm actually in France as I record this, but I can show you what it looks like in the US. This is what it used to look like, and now it's reading these URLs to make a sort of breadcrumb to show you where you would land within the site's hierarchy. So a dash or a dot or a pipe or an arrow would all be good choices. So then we can go into the home page. And because both our home page and our blog's front page are set to be static pages, we'll need to edit their titles within the pages themselves. So we have this new section within the page under Yoast SEO, and it gives me a preview of how my search result will look in Google. It's going to ask me to put in a focus keyword. What they mean by that is I need to choose a keyword or phrase that I want to optimize my website for. This isn't going to show to my user. What it's going to do is inform Yoast ratings so it can tell me how I'm doing optimizing for those keywords. Now, in big companies, there's often an entire department devoted to SEO strategy. It's a huge topic, and I will link you to further reading below. I need to limit the scope of this tutorial, so I'll just say that some people focus on the big keywords that people are looking for, and they try to climb the ranks for the most popular search terms. And then there's an alternate strategy called the long tail strategy, where you are actually optimizing for the lesser researched terms so that you have a chance of ranking higher, especially if you're a little guy, you're competing against the big guys. So I want to introduce you to a fun tool called Google Trends, and this gives you an idea of how popular different search terms are. So I'll just use my site as an example. I usually optimize for DIY website, do-it-yourself websites. And so I can see how it had a pretty rocky start. It's kind of settled down. But it's not very meaningful until I compare it to some alternatives. So I can compare it to build website. And I can see that's far more popular, but that's also catching the people who are looking for someone else to build their website. So I might put in there build own website. So I'm not catching the people who are looking for someone else to build their website, because then I would be competing with quite a few people and not optimizing for my ideal customer anyway. So I can see that build own website is far more popular than DIY website. And yet another way people might search for what I'm offering is make website. And again, I'll put own in there just to exclude those people who are looking for a web designer to do it all for them. And I can see, wow, that is way more popular than DIY website or build own website. And I could even put in here, because I know I want to target creatives, just because I love creative people, I could even look for create own website. See how that stacks up. And what's interesting down here, I can see how it varies regionally. I can see that in Canada, no one says DIY website or build your own website. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I used to live in Canada and I absolutely adore Canadians. I'm married to one. I created two. I can see in the UK, no one says DIY. Most people say make. And a few people in Australia say DIY, no one says build, lots say make, and a few say create. And I can see create is very popular in India and South Africa and Nigeria. Wow, it's the only way they say it in Nigeria. That's pretty amazing. And let me show you also, you can click on the country itself. You can even see interest by sub-region. In California, everyone says make except me. That's funny. So as far as my strategy goes, I could optimize for make your own website because most people are searching for that. But I'm guessing that also a lot of other clever people are optimizing for that. So it's a bigger pie and I will get a smaller slice of it. I could take the long tail approach where fewer people are searching for it, but also probably fewer people are optimizing for it. Or I could go somewhere in between. I could choose between build and create. And I learned from my map that in certain countries, everybody says create. And another useful thing I can see is related queries. So this is under DIY website. So other things that people search for. And I can have a look and see where there's the most overlap with what I'm offering. So that's just some more data to inform my decision. So I'm going to go for the middle option. I'm going to go for create own website because not as many people are going to optimize that. I'm drawn to the word create because I want to draw in creatives. And that seems to have the most widespread appeal. That's pretty amazing that there's certain countries that only search those search terms and not with the others. So Now I know my strategy is create own website. Go back in here and I'll fill it in. And again, the user's never going to see this. This is just to inform the plugin about what I am optimizing for. And then it can tell me how I'm doing. And I did not have this focus key phrase in mind when I wrote my copy. So I'm going to rank pretty badly to begin with. And that's okay, it's always a work in progress. And here I can directly edit what's going to show up in these search results. So here I can create the meta description that is going to show up right here in the search results. Right now it's just pulling the text in the order that it is on my homepage, but if I wanted to write something it's a little more keyword dense and a little easier to read, I could put it here in this box. This unfortunately is not editable, so I'm just going to have to leave it as home rock your website, unless I'm willing to change what shows up here, which I could definitely do if I was willing to take it out of the navigation. But I'm just going to leave it like that for now. I've got my keywords. I've made it really clear what I'm offering in the meta description. So I'll go back into my SEO, titles and metas. I've done the home page. I can also do it for the blog, which I will once I have more blog content, but it's exactly the same. I would need to put in my focus keyword. And the reason you do these separately is because they are their own page type. So now if we go into the post types tab, we can see they let us set the title template for each of these page types: posts, pages, media, and because we've installed WooCommerce, we can do products. And you can see they're defining various variables here. And if you're wondering what they mean, you can open up the Help Center and you'll find them under Basic Variables and Advanced Variables. Now the default is to have page variable in there, which is current page number with context. There's also a field to define a template for your meta description, but Yoast SEO actually discourages you from doing this because they say the best meta descriptions are handwritten so that they can be both keyword front-loaded but also make sense and not look spammy. So we're going to leave that blank, and we are going to let the robots index these pages, but we really don't need the date. That doesn't provide much useful information at all. So here again you can see that page number. So that might be useful for posts if I know I'm going to have very long articles that I'm going to put over several different pages. I don't see how it would be useful for pages, which are just the web pages like the About page and the Contact page. So I'll just take that out. I'll leave this blank again. I'll do the same for media. And now products, if I have quite a few products in a given category, I may want to leave this in just so people know that, oh, there's several more pages here if they happen to land on, say, page 3. So I'll leave that. And we can ignore this custom post type archives because we don't have any at the moment. Now if we go into the taxonomies tag, taxonomy is another word for classification. It's a system of classification. And the way we classify our blog posts is through categories and tags. The way we classify our products is through categories and tags. And then we also have down here shipping classes. So let's have a look at what the default is. WordPress's generic term for both categories and tags is term. So when it's used in this instance, it will put the category title. In this instance, it will put the tag title. And then they've hard-coded archives to echo the way WordPress puts in archives after the category and tag page titles. Next is that page variable again, just in case there is more than one page of categories. You don't want to have the exact same page title for two different pages because that counts as duplicate copy and Google will slightly penalize you for it. Here again is that separator that we set in general. And then the site name, because if we don't put it in, then Google will. And that format is used Also in the tags, the product categories, the product tags, and the shipping classes. Now if we go into archives, it will show the author name and then hard-coded author at, then your site name, and again that page variable. Date archives shows the date, the page, the separator, and the site name. The date archives is date, page, separator, site name. And down here is where you can set anything special you want to do for your search page. The default is you searched for, the search phrase, the page, the separator, and the site name, you guessed it. And here is what shows up for your 404 page. So those defaults are all really good, but if you wanted to do something fancy with them, that's where you would do it. Under our other tab, we can tell WordPress whether we want Google to index the subpages of the archives. There's no reason not to. Now, this meta keywords is disabled because meta keywords are no longer used. They used to be an important part of SEO, and they are no longer. So they are turned off. Okay, so that is it for our titles and metas. Next, we customize our permalinks. So we're going to go into Settings, Permalinks. And we'll go down here to Custom Structure. And we want to do either, this is up to you, simply post name, or if we want to get another keyword in there, we can do category post name. And so that is a way of getting all the important words in there that people might be searching for. If you simply had post ID equals 123, that means nothing. That's not giving Google anything to compare your site to what people are searching for. And date as well is really not that important in terms of what people are searching for. So we'll have it category / post name. And now that is all I need to do for permalinks. A couple of other points that come up in SEO tutorials are whether you should use www before your domain name. So in print, it is really nice to have as short a domain name as possible. So that would indicate leaving out the www. But if you ever want to have any sort of subdomain, for example, if I do want to put my classroom onto my Rock Your Website domain name, I could do something like class.rockyourwebsite.academy. So this would be a subdomain. If I wanted that to work, then I actually need to keep the www in there. If I dropped it, then that would make it problematic to create a subdomain. Now, if you're never going to do that, and you want your domain name to be as short as possible on your printed materials, then you can go ahead and turn that off. I'll show you how to do that. That's under Settings, General. And I'm going to put my www back in just in case I want to do a subdomain. Kind of a minor detail for most people. And because Yoast SEO is so awesome, it's going to automatically tell Google and Bing about that preference of mine. So I'll save those changes. And now I'm going to want to go tell Google about it in Google Search Console. And I'm going to need to do other things there as well. So I may as well go now. And because Yoast SEO is so cool, I can actually get to it from within my dashboard. So I'm going to go down here to SEO Search Console. So this refers to Google Search Console. It used to be called Google Webmaster Tools. I'm going to click this Get Google Authorization Code. And you may need to sign up for an account if you don't have one. And so I need to consent to Yoast SEO viewing and managing my Search Console data. So there's the code I need. I'll paste it in there and authenticate. So if you already have an account with Google Search Console and a property in there, then you're going to need to go into Google Search Console and add this new website before you can use this super cool method. So let's go into Google's Search Console. This is at google.com/webmaster/tools. I'll link it below. And we'll add this domain name. So I will copy only the domain name and paste it in. And now I can go back into my WordPress interface and I can refresh. And now it's available. So I'll go ahead and re-authenticate that. And there we have it. Once we've got that working, we're going to want to check on our sitemap. And Yoast SEO makes this process very straightforward. Normally we would have to go and submit our sitemaps directly to Google and Bing, but Yoast SEO does it for us. So we just want to make sure that it is enabled. And you can have a look at it if you want to. They split them up because there is a data limit on each sitemap. Google imposes a data limit. You can turn on the sitemap for author if you want to, but categories and tags are already turned on, so you don't really need to turn on the author one. So it includes by default posts and pages and products, but not media. And if you wanted to exclude anything, you could put the post IDs into here. And again, the various taxonomies are turned on. So there's nothing we need to do in there other than just verify that it is turned on. And this again is being submitted to both Google and Bing. So this next piece of advice is a little controversial, and it's something that I've resisted doing for years. It's to put breadcrumbs onto your site. Now, I'm not crazy about them. I think they kind of clutter up the interface, but Google recently has just gone really keen on them, and within their documentation where they're telling you how to enhance your site's attributes, they specifically tell you to enable your breadcrumbs. And another sign of how much they love breadcrumbs, again, is how they've changed how they display the second line here. It used to just be the URL, and now they've changed it into breadcrumbs. So far that's just in the US, but I believe they intend to expand that. So if you do want to turn on breadcrumbs, the place to do that is Thrive Dashboard, Theme Options, and just in the general page that you land on, if you scroll down, you can turn on Display Breadcrumbs. And I'll show you how that looks on my site. It doesn't display on the home page. On the other plain page types, it shows like this. In my blog, it shows like that on the main blog page. And then within each blog post, it shows the category and the title. And in the shop, it shows just shop. And if I go into a product, it shows me the category. So I'll leave it up to you to decide whether you want to have that turned on, but if you do want to turn it on and follow Google's advice, it's under Thrive Dashboard, Theme Options, Global Settings, Display Breadcrumbs. That's the last bit of optimizing our site-wide settings. Now let me show you how to go in and optimize each page and post. So I'll just take one of these posts as an example. So in my post, I don't necessarily want to keyword stuff, but I do want to make it very, very explicit what I am focusing on. So if you notice down here, we have this Yoast SEO area now that we've installed the Yoast SEO plugin. And we can do the same thing that we were doing in the page title section. We can choose some focus keywords. And again, this isn't showing to the user, but it is informing Yoast so that it can tell us how we are doing with those focus keywords. So here is how I want to optimize. I want to have a really clear idea of what my post is about, and I want to use that keyword or key phrase in my title. I want to make sure it shows up at least twice in my body text. And in any kind of picture I add, I want to think about, is there a natural way to use that keyword in the alt text? So again, no keyword stuffing. Google will demote you for that. But when I go into that image, I can put that keyword, if it makes sense, in this alt text. And I could also put it in the description. And this caption is going to show, but if there was some extra information I could provide the user about that image, I could put it in here. So we've got our title, our image, our body text, and we can also edit this snippet directly, the snippet that's going to show up in the search results. So here's that template that we set for site-wide, but I could also write my own. Now, what I'm writing is not necessarily better than the default template. That was actually really good. So I'm only going to replace this if I can write something even better. And I also want to make sure my keyword or phrase is in this slug. The slug is just the last part of the URL. So I can edit that directly. And all of these changes you only want to make on a new post. If you have an older post that other people are linking to, you definitely do not want to change the slug. You want the URL to stay the same. But if you really want to change it, and if you're kind of advanced, you can do a 301 redirect to the new page. But that's out of the scope of this tutorial. And here, we did not set a site-wide meta description. So this is where you would hand write the meta description. If you don't write it, then Google is just pulling from the first paragraph for this snippet in the search results. Yoast SEO provides extremely good advice, and it's all pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to go into it. This one is especially important. Google considers pages with fewer than 300 words to be thin content, and thin content does not rank as well. So you want to aim for a minimum of 300 words on your posts and pages. And you'll also want to link both to other pages or posts within your own site. You want to try to do that at least once in every post. And also, wherever it provides value to the reader, you want to link to other sites. This might at first seem like you are giving away your traffic, but the people whose sites you're sending them to, they're going to see the inbound links when they look at their analytics, and then they're going to come check you out. And if you're providing quality content, they may actually link back to you, which is giving you a whole new set of viewers. So linking out is often very beneficial. And this is also great advice to write compelling call to action copy. It's good to have a reminder of that. So I can do this for all my posts and all my pages as well, and even my products. Telling me my readability is not great, and that makes sense since it's all dummy text. All right, that concludes this SEO tutorial. Again, it's a huge topic, and it's something that whole departments are devoted to in larger companies. So I'll link you to some further reading below, but just keep in mind, Google's looking for quality original content, and you are helping Google by being really explicit about what your copy is all about. All right, see you in the next lesson.